Hello all, Knife Edge UK here. I've got another sort of high-end custom knife overview for you today. This is another piece of unobtainium, I'm afraid, but this is a serious piece of unobtainium. This is probably one of the rarer pieces in my collection, and something which I absolutely love, so I wanted to get it on camera for those of you that are interested. This is the Philippe Jourget Fief 20. This is a custom, and this handmade custom by Philippe, and it's getting on for peerless alongside guys like Lespect, David Moser, the Bulls, Cody Utzler, you name it. It's up there with basically anything that's ever been made. So I'm going to show it against a couple of other knives. I'm going to talk a bit about it, and hopefully it won't annoy everyone too much. There it is against a 3.5 XM18. As you can see, in terms of blade length, we are not a million miles off. Let's get them so that they're sort of handle to handle. Yeah, the XM18 3.5 has it just a smidge. We'll put a large Sebenza 21 next to it. As you can see, in terms of cutting length, we are looking very, very similar indeed. These a little bit more handle length on the Sebenza. What else have we got kicking around? We'll put it next to a 3-inch chamois and a 3.5-inch chamois. As you can see, it's 3.3-inch chamois rather. As you can see, it's pretty close. The 3-inch chamois is getting pretty near the mark. So before we just go on and on and on and show loads of knives for no reason, let's talk about this. Oh, there is one more thing to show you, which is what it looks like next to a Fief 18, which, if anything, is even bloody rarer. But there it is next to a Fief 18. So the Fief 18 is the slightly smaller version. There is also another one, which is the Fief 23, and that's, believe it or not, a larger version. So let's put that one away, but that gives you an idea of where we are. It's kind of a medium-sized, everyday carry knife. So Philippe Jourget, one of the kind of most lauded of the French knife makers, one of the most kind of admired custom knife makers in the world, probably. He makes very, very, very few customs, as far as I can tell, or anyone else can tell. He puts them up on his website here and there. He, I think, goes to the odd show, or, obviously we've had, shows cancelled and what have you over the pandemic in recent years. So you don't see many of them. When you see this model, generally you see it by Custom Knife Factory, Russian company who make knives out of China. I think they do quite a bit of assembly in Russia. Very, very well regarded. I've had a number of Custom Knife Factory pieces. I've had 2 Fief Custom Knife Factories as well, and it's always been one of my favourite. The moment I saw this, I think it was Dr. Frunke's video. The moment I saw, I think for a lot of people, the moment I saw a Jourget Fief 20, I was just in love with it. I love the lines. I love how simple and elegant it is. I love this contouring that's done in facets. This drop point blade, which is just perfectly proportioned. It's a great drop point. The excellent swedge on it. The very, the minimal billboarding. The particularly beautiful clip. There's just nothing about the knife which doesn't scream class. And when you handle something by Jourget, and I've handled a few of his knives now, I consider him just a master of understatement. Everything he does is so simplistic and clean. Yeah, sure, you see the ones occasionally with the really mad, kind of materials and whatnot. But in my mind, when I think of Philippe Jourget, I think of this kind of aesthetic. If you take another kind of, great of the knife world and, the French custom world and custom world generally, David Lespect, who I think is probably the finest knife maker in terms of sheer quality I've ever handled a knife from. You can see there's quite a bit more going on here. You've got shadow boxing on the liners, you've got lots of contouring, the more complicated blade grinds. There's a lot happening. Whereas on a Jourget, it's all about understatement and the very, very, very fine details. And with a knife as good as the Custom Knife Factory ones out there, let's be frank, it's impossible to justify a knife of the secondary value of this period. It's just, I can't justify that at all, apart from I want to own it and keep it. You know, sensible thing to do would be to sell this. I know. So, you know, if I ever have to, you know, that's, you know, some things that happen in life, but I'm lucky enough to own it, and for now, it's staying put. And that's because compared even to those excellent production pieces, it's just flawless. You know, I'm lucky I've handled a lot of, you know, really high-end knives. I have a really nice collection that I'm really lucky to have. And this is about as flawless, along with the L'Aspects and a few of the Remy Lavials. It's about as flawless a piece of knife making as I've ever seen. So now that I'm at 5 minutes something. If you're still watching this, thank you very much. I love you, and you're obviously very much into high-end knives and waffling about them. Okay, so what have we got? We've got a CPM 154 blade, very typical of, you know, custom knife making. Would it be nice if it was a slightly higher-end steel? Yeah, sure. Is this ever going to get any proper use? Let's be honest, nah. So it's a perfect hand rub satin. I might as well just come out and say it. It's perfect. I've got lots of very nice hand rub satins. I've got a number of them that I'd call perfect. This is perfect. There's nothing that could be said against this hand rub satin. It then has, we're getting to these fine details, this gorgeous long drawn swedge across the top on both sides that is finished, and this is going to be, you know, will my camera show this or not? I have no idea, but it's finished in the same blast that the handle is. It's just a gorgeous detail that works so well. Perfectly executed plunge grind and sharpening choil. All the facets on this knife, I believe I'm right in saying, are done by hand. There's no CNC on this, and they're flawless. I mean, you can almost tell that maybe some of them are kind of, I mean, I don't know. It's normally when you have, you know, chamfering and what have you on a handmade knife, you can tell that there's just a little bit of, you know, variance from side to side, and there's some charm in that. You know, I have a knife just over there that is yet to be reviewed, a Savidan, which has, you know, little things like that which give it a lot of charm, and they're not a negative point at all really for me, but they are little evidences that it's handmade. The fact that this is so flawless and it's handmade, it's spectacular. It's like it takes, you know, the flawlessness of a handmade knife like the Gareth Bull Chamois and just nudges it up that extra notch like the L'Aspects do. But this is obviously, you know, you've not got any overlays or anything. This is a frame lock, and it's just perfect. You've got these fantastic chamfers on the inside of the handle. You go down to this really cool multi-chamfered back spacer, which is really nice. Screws go through and then are finished on the opposite side with perfect tops and gorgeous chamfering. This clip is one of the best mill clips I've ever handled. It's thinned out by this groove in the center, chamfered all the way around in just the most lovely way. It's got really good spring tension, carries fairly deeply. It's just perfect. Lock bar is super secure and very light. That's another way in which it reminds me of the Gareth Bull's work, is the fact that that's just fantastic. This one has a slightly harder detent than the ones that I've had from Custom Knife Factory, and it just gives it the most fantastic pop. Put your finger in your thumb in the right place, almost bit me there, and it just flies. It's such a beautiful detent over the top, brilliant. And then as you can see, the closing action, it's controlled, it's a full drop, it's not quite a guillotine, it's not racing to the closed position, it's perfect. Slow rolls out really nicely as well. If you want to do something a little more subtle, it's just great. It really is. Lock bar is perfectly tuned. Detent is perfectly tuned. It pops beautifully. It just works. It's spectacular. And that's kind of the knife. And that, I think, is the point. It's super simple. There's nothing here which screams, you know, oh, I've got loads of Damascus on me or Damasteel. But yet it still commands so much attention and is so perfectly done in its simplicity that people will pay a really sizable amount to get them. And I can completely understand why, because it's a spectacular knife and one of the best I've ever had in my collection. I'm very, very, very lucky to have it. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop gushing now. Thank you for watching. I hope you get a handle one or you manage to get one at some point. And if not, get one of the Custom Knife Factory ones, because it's a spectacular design that feels amazing in hand. Ergonomics, I forgot to mention, are amazing. They're perfect, actually. The ergonomics are just great. and that all those features are maintained by that much more attainable knife from Custom Knife Factory, where they do a great job making them. So at least anyone can get hold of this this knife with, you know, a more sensible price tag. Thank you very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one.